Here are some small quotations from Life of Pi that you can use for your own purposes. So, I try to bring as much small quotations as possible. Alright. First, uh, this is surely what Tokyo must look like at rush hour. This is surely what Tokyo must look like at rush hour. So this is that's all fine. Surely you know how to spell. Tokyo is Tokyo. Tokyo must look like at rush hour. All right. Then that's that. Why? When is that from? That small quote is from chapter 59, when Pi sees the underwater world, the fish and everything, and compares it to the city. The imagination, this is an imagination. Okay, so it's a technique used here. I muttered nothing but teeth. I muttered nothing but teeth left. Then in capital letters, teeth. I muttered nothing but teeth left. In capital letters, then we have quoted teeth. Right. So muttered spelling muttered. Muttered. Nothing but teeth left. Teeth spelling teeth. When is this? From chapter 92, when he sees the tooth inside the fruit and then finds the whole set of 32 teeth, right? So this is first the dialogue makes the scene live to the reader. The emotion and the depth is there. So that's another thing. So then we have it was Richard Parker who calmed me down. It is the irony of the story that the one who scared me witless to start with was the very same who brought me peace. Now, from where to where should you remember as a quotation? This is the part. It is the irony of this story that the one who scared me witless to start with was the same who brought me peace. Right? This is the quotation. If you can, you may remember the whole quote. I guess the reader is better than me to start with. Okay. So I am just giving you the quotations without any order. Listen to it again and again. Find as much as possible quotations inside them and write however you want.
She was Richard Parker who It was Richard Parker who calmed me down. It is the irony of this story that the one who scared me witless to start with was the very same who brought me peace, purpose, I dare say even wholeness.
See, first of all, this shows the friendship between Richard Parker and Pi. Then, this is a moment where we see irony. The writer himself is declaring it as an irony, and the paradox. The one who scared me witless to start with was the same who uh, gave me peace, right? Brought me peace. So, peace and fright are two opposite things which can't be brought together. When we are in peace, we don't feel scared, and we are scared when we don't feel peace. So, those two feelings does not come together in any normal circumstances. It's just the paradox. It's a literary technique, so you have to use it that way, right? It was Richard Parker who calmed me down. So we have another quotation. I am just using the quotations without any order. So this is just I am doing this because I tried to make some quotations with actual order and failed it every time. So I am just recording the random quotations, and now I don't even care what's going on. I just want to gather these quotations together. So the previous quotation was from chapter 57. Now this quotation is another one. This shows the willpower of Pi to live.
I was giving up. I would have given up if a voice hadn't made itself heard in my heart. The voice said, I will not die. I refuse it. I will make it through this nightmare. I will beat the odds, as great as they are. I have survived so far, miraculously. Now I will turn miracle into routine. The amazing will be seen every day. I will put in all the hard work necessary. Yes, so long as God is with me, I will not die. Amen.
Amen. So we have the devotion to God. So long as the God is with me, right? So long as God is with me, I will not die. Amen. This is the devotion to God that made him survive the ordeal, right? So we have the devotion over here. Then we have the willpower of Pi, which is necessary, which was necessary for him to live. Then we have the literary technique over here. A voice hadn't made itself heard in my heart. So this voice didn't came like a normal thing. It made itself heard. So it did the work. The voice did everything, right, on its own. Can a voice do that? No. The yarn model has personified the voice. So we have that as well. Then we have the imagination part as well, because this voice is just an imagination of Pi, right? Such a thing doesn't exist. You have the heart voice. It's just your imagination. I guess I'm alright. So we have the inner voice of ourselves, but it's just our imagination. So we have 3 points of this one quotation. So let's move further. I lost the page, I guess. Nothing but teeth I muttered, I discussed that. Surely, what Tokyo must cry. I couldn't abandon Richard Parker. This is from page 92. The previous one was from chapter 57. Alright, previous quotation. So long as the God is with me, I will not die. This thing was solely from chapter 57. This was when Pi was giving up. He ate well. He came to the lifeboat without being noticed by Richard Parker. He ate well, he slept well, then came back to reality and realized that there was no chance of surviving. So he was almost giving up when this voice made itself heard. So that's the situation of this thing. Okay, let's go further. We have this quotation from chapter 92. This is from the place where Pi decides to leave the algae island, and decides to bring Richard Parker along with him.
I could not abandon Richard Parker. To leave him would mean to kill him. He would not survive the first night. Alone in my lifeboat at sunset, I would know that he was burning alive. Or that he had thrown himself in the sea, where he would drown. I waited for his return. I knew he would not be late. 92.
So we have a bit much to talk over here. First of all, if we think of Richard Parker as Pi's survival instincts, so even from the algae island, he did not leave his survival instincts behind. That's a fact. If we talk it as a real thing, that Richard Parker was actually an animal and Pi was actually waiting for him. So at that moment, we see the friendship between Pi and Richard Parker. First of all, the Pi who despised Richard Parker, who wanted to kill Richard Parker, who wished he would die out of natural circumstances, is not letting go of him, not trying to abandon him, hesitating to abandon him. And this man is waiting for him to come to the lifeboat, like literally waiting for a tiger to come to the lifeboat to go with him. So yeah, their friendship is shown there. Then we have the imagery of this part. Wait.
Alone in my lifeboat at sunset, I would know that he was burning alive.
Alone in my lifeboat at sunset, I would know that he was burning alive. So this moment we see alone in my lifeboat at sunset, we see someone alone in their lifeboat at sunset, right? This is a visual imagery, so you can actually use this short part. So just this part will do the whole job, right? Alone in my lifeboat at sunset, I would know that he was burning alive. This part you can use just this quotation for all the things above. What? First, you can say how he is thinking about Richard Parker. Secondly, you can say the imagery part. Then you can also say the humanity, the change in the point of view about Richard Parker. So Pi saw Richard Parker first of all as enemy, then his point of view changed, everything and so on. So we have this from chapter 89, this quotation. I'm taking the quotes from here and there. I hope you won't find this very difficult to understand or something like that. I don't think you will find that as well, because we are the same person. So I will not find it difficult. Yeah, I don't know if the exam pressure will make some changes in your head. If that happens, I don't know. But we are literally the same person, so I don't mind being mixed up. I do sometimes, but not that much. Here is another quotation from chapter 89. The previous one was from chapter 92. So let's go.
And now I leave matters in the hands of God, who is love and whom I love.
Yeah, this is a simple quotation. The voice is a type of yeah, that's not my problem. That's a network issue. So and now I leave the matters in the hands of God, who is love and whom I love. What is the purpose of this? Where does it come? It comes when Pi is alone, not alone, Pi is with Richard Parker. I mean, Pi has nothing, he has gone blind completely. He has no food, nothing to drink. He has drunk the last bit of water, and now he is lying on the topulin and waiting for the death to come upon him. That's when he says this. So, what is the point that you have to discuss over here? See how much devotion he has. His last breath, he is saying what? I am leaving the matters in the God's hands, who is love and whom I love. It's not that who is love but I hate him, he made me die. No, that's not going on here. He says who is love and whom I love. So I still love him. Devotion. That's the love for God. That's the devotion for God. That's why he survived. He didn't blame God. He just, when it's hopeless, he was still positive. Now it's in the God's hands. I've done what I can. Now you may take care from here. That's the point of view of Pi. That's what gave him the courage to go on. Right? So that's why anything that came, even the pious Frenchman, without doubt he saw him as a brother. Why? Because the words, first of all, his point of view was positive enough, right? So yeah, that's unnecessary to say, but it shows how his devotion and love is for God, right? This was from chapter 89. So this is another quotation from chapter 89, also showing the friendship between Pi and Richard Parker.
Was more affected by his imminent demise than I was by my own. But truly, broken down and wasted away as I was, I could do no more for him.
Yeah, so I don't think you understood that. I will repeat it for you. I was more affected by his imminent demise than I was by my own. So I was more affected by his imminent demise. What is the spelling? Imminent means imminence means it starts from I, right? IMMINENT. IMMINENT, right? Imminent. Demise means the demise spelling DEMISE, right? Not CE. It's Demise. Demise. So let's get a quick translation. Demise in Sinhala means abhava praptiya. Alright. Maranaya abhava praptiya. Pavaradima also demise. Then we have imminent. Let's have take the word and find the meaning of that as well. Here we have demise. Ita asan. Upagata. Samipastha. Samupasthita. Samupasthita comes from the word sama plus upasthita, right? So upasthita means the what do you call it in English? Damn it. This is the problem of mastering two languages. You have the meanings on its own. So you have the basic meaning of samupasthita, samipa, asana, right? So I don't have to translate in English again. So imminent demise means samupasthita abhava prapti. Oh, ita asanna marane, upcoming death, right? So I was affected by his imminent demise than I was by my own. I was affected by my own death as well, but I was affected by his upcoming death than I was by my own. That's what he's saying. But truly, broken down and wasted away as I was, I could do no more for him. This was my limit, but truly broken down and wasted away as I was, I could do no more for him. This is my limit. But I was affected by his demise than my own. This is the friendship of, by the selflessness of the friendship, right? So we have the selflessness, the friendship, the humanity, and the change. If someone asks, is it true that those whom we meet can change us? Yes. See how Richard Parker has changed by. So he was getting more affected by Richard Parker's death than his own death, right? So we have now this was from chapter 89, right? This was before that island thing. So yeah, a part of we have another quotation from chapter 57. So this 57 is keep coming up, right? 57 keeps coming up to us. We have a lot of quotations from chapter 57, as I would name the chapter as the chapter of survival and friendship. Anyway.
A part of me was glad about Richard Parker. A part of me did not want Richard Parker to die at all, because if he died I would be left alone with despair, a foe even more formidable than a tiger. If I still had the will to live, it was thanks to Richard Parker. He kept me from thinking too much about my family and my tragic circumstances. He pushed me to go on living. I hated him for it, yet at the same time I was grateful. I'm grateful. It's the plain truth. Without Richard Parker, I wouldn't be alive today to tell you my story.
So this was the moment after the Preston when he decides that. Let me give you a sweet quotation before I discuss about this, right? See, when Richard Parker shows the Preston reaction towards him, he gets an understanding that he has to tame Richard Parker. See, this is how it is, right? Let me show you his exact words.
I had to tame him. It was at that moment that I realized this necessity. It was not a question of him and me, but of him and me.
It was not a question of him or me, but him and me. This is the moment where Pi realizes that I can't go on without Richard Parker. So this wasn't a question about him or me. This was a question about him and me. It's a question of us, right? So the survival was not of Richard Parker's or Pi's, it was ours, both of them. So after this comes that quotation that I said above, right? So a part of me was glad that Richard Parker was here, right? A part of me here means the one side of me was glad that Richard Parker was with me. That's a problem. A tiger in a lifeboat, and I'm glad about it. Yeah, so his mind is divided, no? So he has a part of him which is scared of Richard Parker, which doesn't want to associate with Richard Parker, but there is another part of him that is glad that Richard Parker is there. So a part of me was glad that he was there, because without him I would be all alone with this in this Pacific Ocean, right? So this just this part will be enough to have it, right? He kept me from thinking too much about my family and my tragic circumstances. He pushed me to go on living. I hated him for it, yet at the same time I was grateful. So there is a paradox, right? I hated him for it, but at the same time I was grateful. So there is a paradox also. And this will to survive, if Richard Parker was considered or viewed as the will to survive, the survival instincts, then we have that I had to tame the will to survive, right? It's a necessity, and I can't live being separated from the will to survive, survival instincts, right? I have to accept this monster. It's just a part of myself, so I have to accept this monster in order to survive. That if we assume that Richard Parker is the will to survive or something like that. So it was not a question of him or me, but of him and me. That's what it suggests. So the above case as well, the above case, what I said, I was grateful and I hated him for that as well. So that is a paradox. And then this one, the him or me and him and me, what is this? A repetition about what? He repeats the words him and me. These two words are repeated, just the middle word, the O and N is the changed ones, right? So what is the reason for that? By repeating this, the same words, just with a change in between them, the author shows that the change of point of view, the sudden change in the thoughts, the revolution that took place at that moment, just with this simple repetition, the author shows the sudden revolution that conquered what pious mind, right? So yeah. So these are two quotations. Both are from chapter 57, but each can be used in a rather unique way, right? So let's move on to the next one. It was Richard Parker who calmed me down. It is the irony of this. It is the irony of this story that the one who scared me witless to start with was the very same who brought me peace, purpose, I dare say, even wholeness. So, this was also from chapter 57. Let me show you a reader's reading as well. I don't remember if I talked about this. If I did, just avoid.
It was Richard Parker who calmed me down. It is the irony of this story that the one who scared me witless to start with was the very same who brought me peace, purpose, I dare say even wholeness.
So I won't explain the quotation further. You can actually understand. If I can understand, you can as well. There is the paradox that fear and peace does not exist in the same categories, but they are in here together. So that's yeah, that's a fact. So I considered giving up. I talked about that, right? It was from chapter 53. And here we have another thing. This is from chapter 94, I guess, because I haven't noted it down. It's from the place where they land on the shore of Mexico.
I wept like a child. Not because I was overwhelmed at having survived, although I was. I was weeping because Richard Parker left me so unceremoniously.
So here we have a bunch of dots here, okay? I wept like a child. Not because I was overwhelmed at having survived, although I was. Then you have to bring a bunch of dots in between because there are some more details over there. I was weeping because Richard Parker left me so unceremoniously. You don't have to remember the complete quotation, just this part is enough. I was weeping because Richard Parker left me so unceremoniously. Unceremoniously, I will spell UNCEREMONIOUSLY, unceremoniously, right? So this is enough as a quotation. You know how to describe it. Without Richard Parker, I wouldn't be alive today to tell you my story. That's also a nice quotation from chapter 57. It was Richard Parker who calmed me down is another one from chapter 57. You can get used. This is from chapter 63. We have a quotation from chapter 63. Yeah. Wait a sec. All right. It's 63. You can get used to anything. This shows how the survival is primacy, the primacy of survival, how the circumstances changed by from and everything else. So let's go. You can get used to anything. You can get used to anything. Haven't I already said that? Isn't that what all survivors say? You can get used to anything. Haven't I already said that? Isn't that what all survivors say? So you have this quotation. It's so yeah. Let's go further. Richard Parker, it's over. We have survived. This is not a dialogue from Pi to Richard Parker. This is just an imagination. So Pi imagines that if he got the chance, he would say, Richard Parker, we survived, I love you, etc., etc. If you want, I can just find the chapter.
Goodbye hurts me to this day. I wish so much that I'd had one last look at him in the lifeboat, that I'd provoked him a little, so that I was on his mind. I wish I had said to him then, yes, I know, to a tiger, but still I wish I had said, Richard Parker, it's over. We have survived. Can you believe it? I owe you more gratitude than I can express. I couldn't have done it without you. I would like to say it formally, Richard Parker, thank you. Thank you for saving my life. And now go where you must. You have known the confined freedom of a zoo most of your life. Now you will know the free confinement of a jungle.
So this is imagination of Pi, right? He is rewriting the conversation within his head after surviving the ordeal and going to the Mexico. So these words show how Pi loves Richard Parker as a friend and how their bond is, right? It's true that those we meet can change us. It's true that those we meet can change us, sometimes so profoundly that we are not the same afterwards. Again, it's true that those we meet can change us, right? Sometimes so profoundly that we are not the same afterwards. So this is from part 1, chapter 5. So chapter 5, this is in the very beginning. Why do I say that? Because this is a foreshadowing, right? In the chapter 5, when we see the part where Pi describes about his name and the things that he achieved with this name and what he faced with this name. So those, at that moment we find this praise over there, right? I guess this much quotations are enough for today, but I have much more to discuss. Like I have a bit more quotations. It's not much, but like 4 or 5 quotations maybe. But it will be in another recording. Then Life of Pi will be over completely. So you will have to hear the recordings once more and once more. I mean again and again simply. And also the book as well. So yeah. We'll meet with another one of such not so interesting recordings. You know how I speak. So but anyway, Sunata Sadhukam Manasikarota.